Hi, I'm Sophie, and I haven't seen a lot of movies.
Hi, I'm Paul, and I'm here to help with that. And we are
SP Film Viewers.
even on holiday, always working.
It's just you. You just can't even let us just relax.
Well, there is some of that, but it's just on the quiet moments in the evenings where we're staying and just to...
Well, we might as well utilise as time.
Yeah.
I know we've got some jam-packed weekends ahead, so it makes sense while we're relaxing and enjoying watching films, hopefully.
Yeah.
She says.
And I thought of this one before we even, set off, obviously, on holiday here. But I thought, based on where we're staying, like a seaside coastal area.
It's lovely. Really, really nice.
It is.
I enjoy myself. We actually had some sunshine as well, which was rare. Because we've been having rubbish weather.
Picked out a film that is based around the coastal area of Cornwall. We're not in Cornwall,
would love to go to Cornwall. I really would. It's a bit far though. It's like 6-hour drive or longer than that for us, isn't it?
Yeah, very far away.
Bit of a trek.
Yeah, something.
There's a lot more closer seasides to us than that.
Nice.
Yeah, we're in Saltburn at the moment.
Yeah.
Never been before.
No.
It seems like a quaint little seasidey area.
Yeah, it does. Really
Can't
nice.
complain.
And the film we're going to be talking about is called Bait. What's kind of interesting about this film in particular is more of what went into making the film, because the technical side in particular, like using black and white Kodak stock and a clockwork Bolex camera.
Wow, proper film.
To record the footage, and then the director Mark Jenkin put together the sound in post-production, so like dubbing the audio after the fact. So it has that kind of off-kilter quality to the film as you're watching it, because it's not like I say, it's all in the English area, so it's not like it's like in a foreign country and they're dubbing it like in like a normal way. It looks a bit off. In that sense, it's as a sort of, I don't know, like, it's like eerie quality, but like a...
Is it going to be like what The Lighthouse was a little bit?
I suppose, in a way, but not as intentionally dark and such. But
I quite like the fact that, when was it released, the film?
So the film came out in 2019.
Oh, so it really is an artistic choice.
Yeah, it really is, yeah.
Filmed the way it is.
And at some point, when now this goes, the other film that I went to see to cinema earlier this year, I believe, it was Ennis, Maine, where it was the same director, and I was really excited to see that film, and that had more horror elements to it.
Is this the film you went without me?
Yeah.
I was a bit like, oh, okay, why are you going without me?
Yeah, because I thought you wouldn't appreciate it, but...
I'm surprising you, is that what you're saying?
Oh, what do you mean?
With my film choices and how I'm critiquing them.
Oh, yeah, no, you've come a long way. Yeah.
Take it.
But the very brief synopsis I'll give you of this 1 hour and 29 length film.
Oh, yes.
is tension rises to the breaking point in a Cornwall fishing village when the local citizens are crowded out by tourists.
Oh, God, we're the tourists in this, so we're the pain in the arse, aren't we?
Yeah.
But to be fair, we pay their bills, so they have to be nice to us at the same time. Without us, they'd have no jobs.
It's true, yeah.
But yeah, it's still a quaint little seaside area, which we're in, I think. We haven't really been properly into Saltburn today, have we yet? So we'll have to see what it is tomorrow. And recap when we...
Reconvene, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it. I'll let you know once we're done.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. I sort of appreciate the...
I will from the film kind of side of things, because obviously I did a photography degree, so anything done with film, I used to love that.
Yeah.
So even if it's not moving,
Yeah, sure.
it's the same thing.
Cool. Right, we'll be back very shortly. Sophie's thoughts on bait.
All right, boy?
All right, Dad?
What's on?
Nothing.
You want to come out with me tomorrow? Could do without.
Nah, you're right.
Need the money, don't you?
Not that much you done.
You got something to say, Martin?
Just said it, brother.
What about you?
I'm fishing.
Offer's always open. You come back whenever you want.
No thanks.
You, Wassan.
I'd like you said croissant. Is you like as in you? Or is it
It's like, hey,
hey?
in Cornish.
And what's up?
Wassan, meaning like Cornish, like, what's more Irish there?
You did. But does that mean like what's up? How are you?
Yeah, what's going on there?
I've never heard any of those words in my entire life.
No?
No. It was only when it was weird because when they were actually saying it, it did sound like you to me.
Hey,
but
you.
because we had the subtitles on, because of the strong accents and how quiet I think the film actually is when they're talking.
Yeah.
Because of obviously how they filmed it and like you said,
Yeah.
with the dub and everything. So we're like, oh, let's put the subtitles on and...
Because I even, like I say, sometimes, actually I'm finding now, putting subtitles on thing, even if it's an English language version of a film, sometimes you can pick up more on what this actually saying a bit more, like, oh, right, okay.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Because sometimes it kind of gets lost and mixed, sometimes, especially with how the films are sometimes mixed, like the audio can be really quiet and like, what did you say? Everything, the music's blares, yeah. It's always the case. I don't know what that is with...
No, I don't truly understand how it kind of works, but it just seemed to help better to understand, like, even if they're talking quite quickly like I do, or they're muffling like sometimes you do, then it helps to read along, and instead of sometimes you assuming what they should be saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, going into this, I was a bit apprehensive, a bit not sure if it was going to be like the lighthouse and another seaside coastal area of what it was going for.
But I guess from what I sort of said, do you sort of get what I mean about sort of an eerie, off-kilter quality to it because of how it's kind of done? It's almost
I think it's how it's produced.
So it's like sort of those quiet moments and you're kind of waiting for something to
occur. It's just
occur.
so silent. Everything is silent. Like
it's just background noise of like the coast and
yeah, but
seagulls.
Even that compared to like the lighthouse, you had the storms, you had the rain. You didn't really have that weather front in this. It was just more like a little bit of the waves, natural. The seagulls and
noise. Background.
But it was like certain bits were just like when the pan shotted just quite silently still. It could be to a point of where it could be a silent film, like the talking in it, to a point, like you could kind of strip it because of the way that they did it.
Yeah, you mean like just if say like have a musical score like piano ding ding ding, and then just like the cards coming up when someone was like, hey, don't do that or something.
Because actually the storyline itself wasn't that in depth, really.
But you sort of got, based off what I read at the start about the synopsis, kind of like understanding with what's occurring into a sense. I know it's kind of chopped and screwed in the sense of how it's not so linear in terms of what the story is. But
I don't think it helped as well with us where the DVD seemed to play up or something.
Yeah, it did annoy me on that because I'm thinking, well, no, we've missed a bit here because he gets to, but a part of the thing that's like, no, it's like almost like I'd say a key part of it or very relevant in the film, but it missed that bit because it's it weirdly skipped.
Yeah, and I went, wait a minute, are we back at the beginning? Because I think it opens with the same shot as it does, as it kind of nearly enough ends with.
Yeah.
Because obviously we've got, is it Winnie or Weenie?
Wenna.
Yeah. I really like her as a character. I feel like for a teenage character, yeah, okay, she's a bit boisterous and a bit like out there, but to be honest, she's just speaking the truth. She's just
saying what everyone thinks, really, in a way, yeah.
And she seems like an arse about it because she's obviously, you shouldn't be saying
Stroppy
this.
Teenager, yeah.
But everything she's saying, she's not wrong. And I think that's the bit that I like because she seems to be the one with the best kind of character. The fisherman,
Martin,
yeah. He's very drab in a sense.
All right.
I kind of like his face is like...
Very stern.
It just doesn't change. That's his face.
He don't really crack a smile, does he?
No, you don't know if he's happy or sad or what. He's got a heart of gold because of what he does for people. He seems to actually...
He cares for the community. Yeah, he's really trying to keep afloat, if you'll pardon the pun.
No, literally he is. And you do feel for him because all he wants is his dream to get a boat, and it's not a lot that he wants, bless him, but things come in the way and he puts people before him all the time. So he is a nice character, but he resents the tourist. He doesn't see that.
He's not welcome to change, really. He's stuck in his ways, and he's obviously like trying to keep to the traditions of what the fishing
I think he
town
wants to
is.
stick by his dad and his roots and where he's grown up, but things have to change, sadly. It's like that one person in work where you decide you want to improve a process, and then they're like, oh, well, we've always done it this way. Why are we changing it? And it's like, well, we can make it easier with technology. And they're like, oh, no. Mm-hmm. And chunt her on because this is how it's always been done. It's fine. It's not broken. Don't fix it kind of thing. But obviously, I feel like every seaside place has this kind of aspect to it.
Yeah, they've got to adapt to bring in the money somehow, because to be honest, there's not a lot of money in, catching fish, because if there's things like global warming can affect that, in terms of weather fronts and things, or like the laws of where you can fish and stuff. Because this time I noticed when in the quiet moments, like in the house, where the radio was going on, and also the help with the subtitles. In fact,
otherwise you would not have heard that.
To pick up on that and go, oh right, yeah, because it's obviously subtly in the background as people are just doing chopping onions and whatever and stuff, but it's all relevant to what's going on part of the course with the community sort of having to be abiding by these laws and stuff with fishing and
lobsters and catching. I do feel for Martin within this, to be fair, because it's one of those things, and I think it's like any freelance job.
Yeah, being your own boss.
And somebody owning a shop or whatever. For example, you've got this little business and you don't know what one day from the next how busy you're going to be. How can you plan? How can you forecast? He's going and casting his net out.
Literally, yeah.
You don't know what you're going to get in.
Yeah.
Some days he gets 4 fish, some days he's lucky if he gets any. And it's like, well, 4 fish, £30. I tried to work it out in my head. I'm thinking, £30. If you got £30 a week.
Or a day.
Or a day.
Yeah, essentially, because it would be that.
So that's maybe like 100 quid. No. 30, 4,
6, 9.
3 5s.
3 times 7.
120?
Yeah.
Because it might not work the weekends.
Yeah, true. But I feel like in that kind of line of work, you probably would.
But who's to know if he gets anything one day? It's that uncertainty within the role of his work.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same with a little shop owner, isn't it? Like, we've been walking around Saltspurn today.
Yeah.
So many little quaint shops, and it just feels quite historical here. And I think it kind of reminds me a little bit of what we were watching in the way that it's quite traditional. And you could see some sea folk people, like, when I'm looking at the people, you could tell who lived here versus who was tourists.
Sure, yeah.
So just watching this from last night and then was going around.
Today, yeah.
My eyes were more opened. And I'm thinking,
thinking how they, struggle with the day-to-day thing. But I think, to be honest, they probably get by with what they got, especially if it's just a little tiny shop, not much, rent space to work with and things like that.
I think it's the prices of things nowadays as well, isn't it, within the shop? Like, there's so many things I loved, but it's like, I don't really want to pay.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing, whereas they have to price them a little bit more but then I think they struggle to get the custom in, so it's tricky.
Well, obviously when Martin brings in the fish and he's obviously selling it to the landlady at the pub to...
The shit pub.
Shit pub anyways. That's like the quote of the thing. It's like 3 or 4 times it gets said from different people.
Yeah. It's like probably the only pub, that's why it's the shittest pub.
But, and it's like the food is, you see, it's like you served up for the consumer, eating at the restaurant and stuff, and that's where it's going to. But that's how it has to be anyway, to make money from, having people to eat there and be patrons at the pub and have a drink and stuff and keep that going as well.
Yeah. And I think what's really sweet about Martin is you assume, like, when he goes home every night, not really hygienic, puts a fish in a plastic bag on his 2 neighbours' doors and leaves them a fish. I don't know if he's getting paid for that. You never see him getting any cash or anything for it. It's just out of the goodness of his own heart. That's how I'm
potentially
seeing it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, here you go. And then only gives the landlady what he's got left.
Perhaps, yeah.
He's not kind of just selling her everything because he wants his neighbours and everything to have a catch of the day, basically.
And there's one of the other fisher folk who says, oh, there's more money in lobsters, and so it's like having to get the lobster pots and stuff.
I still think Hugo stole them. I feel like that's implied.
Hugo is the son of one of the people who's like bought their like a family house.
Family fisherman house. It feels like they kicked them out.
So we'll just we'll lodge here and be like do the Airbnb type of thing, or like having the cottage.
A part of me thinks, well, you wouldn't have had to sell it, like, unless you couldn't afford it. And
yeah, but says you didn't have to sell us this house, Martin, but didn't I? And he says, so it's like, but it's like, I think they're pushed into a corner. It's like, well, I've got to because money somehow, and that's for tide him over for a little bit. But
he's resenting it though, and he resents his brother as well because he's
having to do the coastal cruises really. It's
like a party bus, isn't it? Or one of them, bless him, is like a stag.
Yeah,
and big penis comes on the boat dressed up.
Yeah,
and then they're being sick overboard and everything is. And it is true, like I saw yesterday when we were in Whitby, because I don't know if I told you actually, you'll find this hilarious. There was this man behind me, and I was trying to get some change because you went to that pub that only accepted cash.
Oh, yeah. So that's another funny thing about like these coastal towns as well. Like
you need cash. Yeah. And you're like, what? What's this madness? Why do I need cash? I can get by card normally.
We're gone.
This guy obviously thought he was an Ibiza or something. Like right. He was that kind of type, and he had his top off.
Right.
It was like quite henched, and it's like this. He's like, "Are you in the queue, love?" And I'm like, yeah, I'm in the post office queue." Oh, right, not the normal, because you have like 2 options, don't you?
Do you?
Yeah, so there's like a normal counter where you can buy wherever, and then there's a post office one. Okay. So he was like going off, and then he ordered some cigarettes basically from the bar, back of it, with the lady. And he's like this, and funny thing is, it was a toy shop.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like Anderson's whatever. Literally, there's like a post office and a convenience shop inside this toy shop. And then there's this man with his top off while little kids are looking at toys. And it's like, that is literally just the depictive of a tourist coming in. Yeah. Ordering some cigarettes and looking like he's all hench and hard and thinks he's on a Ibiza holiday.
It wasn't that warm yesterday.
No, it wasn't.
It was warm,
it
but
was
not
quite
that
funny
hot.
because his mate came in and went, "Can you put your top on?" And he was like, "Why? I'm warm. I want to get a tan." And it's like, that literally just... And
those kind of tourists annoy me at the best of times, yeah.
And it just reminded me of how Martin in this film...
get annoyed by people like that, yeah.
Yeah, because he really appreciates what he's got and where he lives. Yeah. And then he just sees it as people are going to spoil it. And I think we're like that where we live. Like, we live in like a little countryside-y bit. When we get people bombing it down on motorbikes down our lane, we get really het up.
Spoil the peace and quiet and tranquility of it all, yeah. And
I think that's the equivalent of our tourism or annoyance of, but we don't get any perks for them being there. No. Whereas a tourist is bringing in money for that, for the city or the place or the community. Okay.
But Hugo, says he's got a sister and she's hanging around with, I guess, one of the local lads, really. So I think he's the son of the brother. Yeah.
Neil. I wrote names down this time.
Yeah. Yeah, it helped again with subtitles to pick up on that. So I've seen this film this will be the 3rd time now seeing it. So, but obviously it did help, to write down names and stuff. I
think you kind of, with this film, you have about a handful of characters, really. The main 2 is probably Martin is your main.
Yeah.
I would say then obviously the family unit is like a whole. And then you've got the bar lady and Neil and his brother, basically, of Martin.
Stephen, yeah.
Is it called Stephen?
Yeah.
Didn't get that one. And that's it. And I think this is why it makes it feel like such a quaint kind of film, because...
You get the other patrons at the pub, but you don't really...
You don't know names or anything like that.
But showing just its close-knit community, and that's...
It makes it show how quaint and quiet and how, like, a little village would be. Everyone knows everybody's business, that kind of vibe.
No, that's it. That's it, yeah. And the fact that, obviously, you got those visitors or the tourists with the little baby and stuff coming to visit, and so I'll show you into this, where your little holiday home that you're staying at. Here's like all the nice, here's a bottle of bubbly in the fridge and all that kind of stuff, and then they're eating at the pub. Obviously, they're sewing up the fish, and then the guys next morning or whatever is like, "Oh, you keep noise down. It's times you call this type of thing. It's
8
like,
o'clock, before, it's 7 o'clock, I
shouldn't be
think.
starting until about 8. Yeah, but it's like the person who owns the holiday let place is like, no, it's fishing village. You've got to have some leeway with that. What do you
I
expect?
know you're on holiday, but you nip by the sea,
Yeah.
The tide's
Can't
gone
do
out and they've got to go by when the
and
tide's
she's
going
like,
to come in.
Oh, you're actually making more noise than they are.
Now, I wondered if she meant by him yelling or by the baby crying as well.
No,
I didn't know which one
I think
she applied.
just more him. Not so much the baby. Can't help the baby crying. But...
True. But yeah, he just seemed like a twatty tourist that's like...
again, I've got rights,
I'm on holiday.
Yeah.
So I get why Martin is feeling the way he is, but at the same time, what can you do about it? It is the way that it is. Tourism brings in the money, doesn't it?
But for him, it's more about him doing his job to get by, really, not so much the tourist on that front. He's just like, well, sorry, I've got to do my job, and it might involve a bit of noise and rattling around in the morning.
I don't know why his brother inherited the boat, because I guess that was his dad's boat.
I guess so.
But so I don't know why he didn't get, or they sold it and get half, or why couldn't they share the boat?
Because it's probably more cost effective to do marine tours out by the coastline than it is to fish in like at early morning, and obviously when the tide comes in.
You could do early morning fishing. You could compromise. Like, okay, I'm going to take the boat in the morning and go fishing.
Yeah, you could do.
And then in the afternoon you can get the tourists on the boat.
But I think obviously they've had a bit of a falling out, really. It's kind of like, it's like Stephen's like, you can come join whenever you want, and he's kind of like, nah, I'm not interested, and just want to try.
And I think that's kind of putting his nose to spite his face a little bit.
Yeah.
With it, to be fair, and I think that's when Stephen's son Neil is the same. It's like no, I don't agree with it, even though he's going and dating the posh girl that's coming to the village. So he's a bit of a hypocrite in that sense, I feel. Yeah, because it's like I don't want
essentially sleeping with the enemy in a sense.
Yeah. But doesn't condone like what his dad's doing. But at the same time,
he's helping out Mark because I feel like he's more about that rather than like, don't be involved in this tourist tribe. But
he is somewhat, because that's what her parents do. But
I get the sense, even from like the first time watching it with Hugo and his sister Katie, like that he's kind of like got some sort of, because he's like, oh no, don't be hanging around with that, because if he's like got some sort of like twisted, like he fancies his sister type of thing.
There's a weird thing, a weird air about it.
Because anybody talks about it with him, it's like, oh, she's seen with that lad again. It's like, oh, shut up, kind of thing, as if like he's jealous.
Unless he's just really protective. But
he's not exactly. He's with a scrawny git, isn't he?
Well, I got confused when I looked at them both, because I think I got Neil and Hugo at the first time mixed up. I think it was just because they're both in white tops and jeans, and they have dark hair. I wasn't really looking at the facials. Then realised they've got braces. They're completely different.
Yeah.
But initially I was a little bit like, oh, and then I realised quite quickly that they were different people, but I think it's because we're hanging around with Katie that made me think that. But I think it's probably, as well, Hugo wants to be like Neil. There's a resentment there, like he wants to be cool and like him, and he's never going to be, sadly.
And also, like, when there's a situation in the pub where it's like, the winner stays on, I'll sit with Wenner and...
She's amazing, because she's just so
what are you
brash.
doing?
Yeah. I love her accent as well. I feel like
that's probably like...
Cornish,
or West Country vibe, of language,
Yeah, she's got no airs about it. And she's like, no, you're meant to be winner stays on, I want to play next.
Yeah.
And she's just adamant.
I
feel like Neil should have gone out with her, to be fair. I think he'd have had a better going on. Because I think she quite liked him. I got that vibe that she was always looking over.
It's like she's getting jealous of the fact that, Kate, It's like, why is, going for the posh.
Yeah.
Kind of last one, you got the, rather than staying within the community side of things.
And I think she just thought, well, it's I'm never going to be her, so obviously I'm not good enough kind of thing as well in that aspect. Did you get the name of the cottage?
Skipper's Cottage.
Yeah, just thought it was cute, like a skipper.
Yeah. Obviously got like the decor of like,
typical seaside, we have to make everything nautical.
Yeah. With a porthole filled in stuff.
The scene where we have to go back as well when obviously
Stephen kicks the door down and
I'm devastated because the pantry's not there. They got rid of Mum's pantry of all things. He's like really, really upset.
No, but it's like you say, like if you went back to like like your childhood home and something, and be like, oh, you've changed like the aspect about it. You can't do much about it, but it still kind of hurts. Maybe obviously for him it would hurt a bit more because obviously he's still in the town that he lived in, and it's he hasn't moved away to kind of forget about it. And
I think it's one of those things like I've had quite a few houses. I think you've only had like 2, maybe 3, but when you were really little, I think to be fair, like when your mum and dad, if they ever move out of that one in Willesden, I think that will be weird.
Yeah,
because that's all you've really ever.
Well, the 2 houses in Willesden, so that one and the one when Joe brother came around.
But I feel like this one's your family home. Yeah, they've been there ages, haven't they?
Yeah.
I think it's the equivalent, and then somebody else, I don't know, going into that house and knocking down like your dad's den or
something. But I, to be honest, wouldn't really be kicking the door down to see what they're doing in the same sense. But
I think it's that attachment. I think it's that passion for the family and how things have gone, whether apart from one another. Do you think, though, that it's the opposite with the other family that have come in with the tourists, as they call them?
Yeah.
Their daughter stays out one night.
Yeah.
Next time you stay out, can you tell us? Not where have you been? Like, I've been worried sick. You've been out all night. Yeah, you
stop out and Dad's like, oh, you cheeky beggar, type of thing. Yeah.
Not worried at all. It's like...
And then, that's like, Hugo's there like, why aren't you saying anything to him? As if, like, again, it's like, come on, Mum, say, like, back me up here. Like, as if, like, why does he care that much?
But also, it's like why aren't the parents caring enough? Like, if that were my daughter, I'd be like, what the hell? You've made me worried all night. He looks over at his mum, she rolls her eyes, like, almost like, please, Katie, if you're going to stay out, just let us know. Like, it's like... Yeah. What?
Yeah, so there's something, like, I think there's something weird relationship.
There is, but I think the parents are weird because they don't really care.
Yeah.
Because there should have been more of a reaction to that. Unless it's just normal and she does it all the time, so they're just not fazed by it. That's the only other thing I can think of.
I'm not sure. But there's, like I said, there's another instance of where, someone else has had to take on another job to get by, and that's what's he called? I think it was called Brian. He was like the taxi cab guy, and he's obviously having a conversation with Martin about that, because I assume when it was like taken away for a long distance, we had to get a taxi back.
From the prison, she'd been...
£100 for a taxi, and he's having to dip into his savings.
But where's her parents?
Again, yeah.
Why is he forking out?
Yeah, because they're on sort of the same wavelength, because they're sort of hanging around with each other. Not in a weird way. I think there's a mutual kind of like respect for one another and how they are with everything.
There is, and bless him. I think probably she is paying for her because her parents, maybe they're not going to be condoning it or whatever, so she gets away with not telling him.
Cool.
He gets also the same kind of equivalent where he gets the clamp
on his van because he keeps, excuse me, you can't park here type of thing. It's like, you own the street and everything. It's like, well, can you not just do something about it? Because, they're paying for the be able to privilege to park there and all that kind of stuff. Parking anywhere is a nightmare these days, and it's like certain restrictions. This wasn't a problem back in. I get the frustration with Matt, especially you've not back within an hour, so you've got a sticker.
Like, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm fishing. I'm not going to be coming back, and I used to be able to do this all the time. Yeah, and now I can't. No, what's your problem? Yeah.
There's those things that are just very true, to the matter of fact, and in modern time, I think that's what it's kind of going for. Even though, obviously, like I say, the style of film, I know we haven't really touched on that, but what did you think of that in terms of like what it's the scratchy kind of edge to black and white?
I love the scratchy film effect. You know me, I'm a film kind of, photography wise, like I used to love film. I used to love black and white film. I just think the colours you get, the grain, the scratches. Like I used to actually scratch on my negatives. I know people be like, what the hell? But I used to do that because it's like,
adds a bit more to it,
or like put a filter over your enlarger, so you'd put like your picture and then put some like paper or crate or something to make it look more. And so I think the artistic choice is really, really impressive and intelligent, and quite weirdly to watch it that way because it's modern. So it's not like doing what The Lighthouse did, where it's like
set in the 19th century,
and then obviously black and white, everything kind of fits the tone. This is set. It feels like a normal era where it's
it could have been set film like it was in 2019 when it came out.
Yeah, so it could be roundabout now.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it'd age in any sense. It's got cars, it's got everything, normal tourism.
Yeah.
But just a choice of a small frame.
Yeah, in fact, it could be in from, say, like 2000s.
I think as well,
Yeah, any point.
what I like about it is it's showing a modern twist on it. So it's kind of like a modernised twist with what they're doing, but
keeping that
true to film.
Yeah.
And I think as well, the cuts, you can it's not so smooth.
No, as I say, it kind of like cuts around like certain things. It's sort of semi-flashbacks or like instances where, like, say, like when it was like picking up a pool ball and throwing it at the window, but then it's like a shot before that even happens where she's been putting cuts and taken around as the dialogue's talking. So it's like, oh, okay, I see what happens. It's got a chain of events that follows that, and it's like, where does that lie into?
And my head kind of wondered how they actually filmed it. So, like, is it that actually they're just getting the negative of the roll of the film and, like, patching it up?
Yeah, no, I think so, yeah.
And I think that's what when I was looking at it in my head, was like, oh, they've done that bit there, because that was sequential, really. And it all kind of, with the ball and throwing it, they do that scene all in one.
Yeah.
And then they're just
Slicing
making these...
Yeah, you're making
But
cuts.
literally just the thought
there will
of
have been,
cutting the negatives.
Yeah. I think that will have been, I'm assuming in Ryan thinking that the director will have done that himself as well.
Yeah.
To actually edit it that way as well. So it's quite a rarity to have something. So I think that in Google it describes it as an experimental drama, which I guess it kind of fits that criteria of what it is as a description. And I really, I really appreciate like what it has to offer in that sense, because it's kind of an interesting style wise.
And I think it makes you realise the simplisticness of life. I think that's what it's saying, and I think that's how it's approaching it. Because Martin, all he wants to do is get by, be able to get fish, get some money, get a boat, have a bit of a goal. He's not wanting too much. He's not wanting the best of everything.
Yeah, it's not like he's wanting to, like, I want to get away from this place.
No.
Or he really wants the community to thrive in the ways that he's always known, but it's getting harder and harder with how people are. And
I think that's why, with the choice of the way that they've done the film, it kind of fits in with how Martin is as a person.
Yeah.
So I feel like that kind of goes hand in hand a little bit as well. Okay. Also, just the thought of them developing the film and all of that is just exciting.
Yeah. So before we go to the scoring then, I guess, unless you got anything else to add.
The only thing I do know, and I saw, was a tourist lady. Obviously, she went to his house.
Yeah.
She gives him more money, and sadly, he's like looking at a couple of 20s folded up.
Yeah.
It feels like probably that pays for Winner's taxi in the end.
Yeah, in a sense, yeah.
But he would have had enough for a boat if he hadn't.
Yeah, thinking about it, it probably would have been the case, wouldn't it? It's like, yes, I'm almost at my goal, but then it's like, no, taken away. But
yeah. And we didn't breach about the fact that Hugo and Neil
have
a bit of a
scuffle, but ultimately ends up with him, obviously not purposely being pushed, but it's kind of like the lobster pot's getting away and he trips and falls onto the decking of the boat.
But we kind of get that scene at the beginning.
Yeah, it's like a sign of things to come, really.
Yeah,
with
which
that.
is weird because I forgot about it. Is that daft?
Because there's other things like, they say, the glass breaking and
Yes.
stuff that gets you thinking, oh, what, does she drop a glass or something? Like, those kind of things are kind of just thrown in there, like, to take you, not out of it, but, like, just throw you off guard a little bit, like, what happened? But then it kind of moves on and doesn't focus, but then it all sort of comes to light later on, because it's interspersed about how things might seem. Maybe everything seems normal enough, but there's kind of things, like I say, that quality of like, oh, something's not quite right here, peppered throughout, and it's, I think that style of filmmaking is really interesting. It keeps you coming back. Yeah, but if there's anything else to bring up, or
no, I think that's everything for now. I think go to my score.
Yeah,
I feel like I haven't done this in a while. Where I've been like the first one. I feel like it's been a while. It's tricky because I think I'm applauding this more for a creative version than I am the actual story.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
I feel like the storyline, if it was just done without the creative choice, would be quite boring.
Sort of agree, yeah. I think that aids it a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. And I think it condones it because you understand why they're not having as much dialogue, because it is harder for the way that they're going to have to match the video film versus the commentary throughout and sync it together.
It's more the atmosphere, I suppose, to look at it in that sense, isn't it, really?
And I think if it was done in colour, I don't feel like it would work as well.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like the storyline would have to be ramped up.
Right. Okay.
For that aspect, if it was just a normal film.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that sounds daft.
No, I don't think so.
I think you'd have to have more of a storyline. You'd have to have more
going for it.
More going for it in that capacity.
Yep.
Whereas because of the way it's done, it feels like it's intentional, everything is. Whereas if it was just a normal film set in 2019, colour and everything, I think it'd get lost. Whereas this will stick with me just because of the way it has been done.
The way it's been produced, yeah.
I will watch it again, but it's not like I'm really enjoying it, put bit on. It's not one of those. Okay. It's just quite appreciate what it has to offer.
Okay.
I feel like there's certain things I've missed, which is weird because it's so silent, so it's like, how have I missed anything? But I think there probably is with the way that they've cut back and forth. It'll help if the film played, in order.
Yeah. Aside from the Blu-ray, I know for a fact they wouldn't have done that on this.
Yeah, and also the quality-wise would be, you'd get more of the grain, I think, from it, and the sharper black and white.
But I mean, to be fair, on the play, it kind of didn't really take it much more. I was going, oh, this is rubbish quality, because it's more of a modern film anyway, in a sense, even though,
I don't know if this is low or if it's not, but I think I'm going to rate it a 7.5. I can't make it go high, just because it's storyline, and you know me, I'm a story girl, is not on point. So, like, I think if it didn't have the black and white, it could go lower, but the 7.5 is kind of the appreciation of film photography and the way it's done on an old Kodak camera rolling.
Yeah, no.
And watching the way that they do the cuts, and you thinking, like, when Martin's walking in front of you, there's a guy literally taking steps back as well.
Going and roll, clockwork,
Yeah, and hoping that he's not going to bump into anybody.
Exactly. And trip, yeah. No, I'm quite happy with that, actually, because I'm not far off.
Okay.
Anyway. So I've seen it 3 times, but I think, in fact, I'm going to bump it a little bit more, I think, because initially on my Letterboxd rating, I think it's 8. Right. But I think about 8.5. I think there's more appreciation for it now, especially with sort of like the subtitles element and stuff.
I think it helps with the scenery we're in as well, because we are in a coastal area.
Yeah.
And it is really old and traditional as Saltburn.
Yeah.
So we've never been, it's the first time we've been here, and it's got like this old water tram.
Yeah.
And it just feels quite, like, I don't know, you captured into an old place, and I think that's kind of helped the whole overall.
Yeah. I must say that mostly it's down to similar appreciation for the style that it's got going for. That's the big selling point for it, rather than the story itself. But there is more appreciation from taking in more of the dialogue, this time with the subtitles, I suppose. And obviously, having seen it now 3 times, has that effect. And it's very, I say, it's quite short, and therefore doesn't take too much of your time, and a fairly understandable like storyline of what the struggles are with coastal life. So I think that's it's sort of relevant in terms of any sort of modern society, even if it was any village or wherever. It could happen anywhere essentially, but just obviously it's more a fishing town that's focusing on in this instance. But no, the fact that you mentioned about it might not work if it was in colour and the storyline stuff, because the follow up that I was on about Ennis Main is in colour, but it's still the same sort of clockwork effect, film effect, but it's probably not as scratchy in terms of thing, but it has that old quality.
It a little bit, just because there's so many different colours to look at.
But I think that might have some sort of filters, but they are quite vibrant in the colours of what
they will be.
Because the way it's done in sort of, that one's set in like the 70s thing, but again, it's sort of coastal thing. But
I think the film, at least it's got the film aspect to it, but I meant like actual film, at least that's got that.
We haven't seen it yet, but
aspect. Yeah. But when I was saying like colour, I just meant like on a normal kind of HD camera nowadays.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I was meaning.
If it was done that way, it would probably be not given a second's notice.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Of it, but
the storyline would need to increase.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's just going to be a normal film and it's just going to be in the Aretha and not be noticed.
Yeah. But would saying that then would, obviously not like right now or anything like that, but would that be something of interest to you in terms of...
Yeah.
My only worry is if you'd be like, oh, this is not much happening with the storyline in this one, the Ennis Main, but you might get some appreciation from it. But
I still like, if it's film photography,
Yeah, yeah.
I still appreciate it, I think.
So we might cover it at some point, but for a lighter day. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you. I'm enjoying this holiday as well.
Good. So me too. So thank you very much for listening to this episode. And if you would like to check out some of our other episodes, you can do so by going to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and wherever else you get your podcasts from. And if you'd like to leave us a 5-star review, you can do so by going to Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, Spotify, and wherever else they do the scoring system.
Patreons?
Yep, go to that.
So, we've got a lot now. So, we have quite a few in our little family. I think 7 in total.
Yep.
So, it's growing up. So, we have got... Take it in turns.
Yep.
We've got Ben from Film Vloggers.
Mark from 100 Things to Learn from Film.
We've got my mum.
We've got Nico from the Good, the Bad and the Weird podcast.
We've got our friend Jones, who was on The Lighthouse. Go check it out. Under the handle at Weight Loss Jonesy. So give him all your likes and loves.
And our 2 new patrons, who are Alex Morris, who is under the handle at Desperately Seeking Username on Instagram.
He thinks he's being funny with that, doesn't he? Let's be honest.
And our friend Gren, or Chris Gren.
Yeah.
Who is under the handle at CGrenDraw on Instagram.
Yep. Thank you both for becoming Patreons. They're close friends of ours, so we're grateful for all the love and support.
Yeah.
They actually listen as well, which is surprising.
Yep. Well, you'd hope so.
Don't know. I'm shocked that they do listen to us. I know they really actually enjoy it and they do get a lot of kicks out of having us on. Especially Jones, he laughs at a lot of things I say. He loves it when I get on a soapbox.
Yeah.
Don't let Paul speak.
Yeah. So if you would like to join our Patreon family, get the opportunity for a shout out and get to vote for a film once a month, then all you need to do is go to patreon.com/SB Film Viewers and donate as little as £1 or $1.50 a month. That gets you those perks.
Yeah.
And helps us out.
And just joins our little family, makes it closer. Hopefully if we
More
can get some
interactive,
more female
Yeah.
orientated, that would be great.
Yeah.
Obviously, because we've only got 1 out of 7.
Yeah.
Not great odds.
No.
Lastly but not least, we are on the socials. So if you do want to follow us and like and subscribe and all that jazz, then you can find us on Threads, which is a new Twitter, I believe, which we are on Twitter too. You can find us on TikTok and my favourite platform, Instagram, because it's just pictures.
Mm-hmm.
So love, like, subscribe. So if you don't know where we are on all of those platforms under the handle at SP_film viewers. So yeah, that's where you can find us.
And with that being said, thank you very much for listening, and we will speak to you next time.
Speak to you next time.
Bye.
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 Bye.